classroom here, we have. So in
Go
the
ahead.
classroom, okay, in the classroom here we have myself. The participants introduced themselves already, but I want them to introduce themselves again, so you know
Okay.
exactly who we're working with and their backgrounds.
Okay.
So we're going to do the introduction. It's good that they know exactly who are the participants and what their backgrounds are. Please, really, what we are currently doing in STEM, especially. So, yes, it might concentrate.
Bonjour, je suis Marie-Martine Biobol. Je travaille pour une ONG qui s'appelle le SAID et je suis en charge d'un programme qui s'appelle AgriSTEM qui essaye de faire le lien entre les STEM, l'agriculture et le changement.
So Marietta just presented herself in French, says she has an association, and the main goal of our association is bridging the gap between STEM and agriculture. So she has a program called AgriSTEM, yeah, where they are really focused on bridging the gap between STEM and agriculture. Okay.
That's great.
Bonjour, je suis Madame Moutien, je suis journaliste de profession dans les affaires. Je suis ici parce que je suis présidente d'une association Sciences en Rose qui encourage les jeunes filles à embrasser des carrières scientifiques, pas seulement pour une profession, mais pousser jusque dans la recherche scientifique parce que je crois en l'apport de la science pour le développement de l'Afrique.
So Mrs. Nuchaya says she's a journalist by profession and a businesswoman. She's a founder of an organization called STEM in Rose, which is really focused on bringing more girls in STEM fields, STEM education tracks, and STEM careers eventually.
Okay, hello Tiffany and team. My name is Madeleine Siwe and I currently study British literature in the University of Illinois. And I am a STEM advocate and enthusiast. And this is especially because I have dyscalculia, and so I love to advocate because I've realized that in Cameroon, dyscalculics have some issues when it comes to STEM related issues. And so that's why I'm so interested in this workshop. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sophie Kamkimo Nelson. I am an English language teacher at GBHS Yaoundé. I'm a STEM advocate, and I believe that education is not possible today without the use of technologies and related content. So as a teacher, I think it's very important for me to know more about this field. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Monju Patrick. I'm a science teacher, precisely a physics teacher by profession. And I'm a promoter of STEM programs. I've been teaching and encouraging students to participate or to orientate themselves in the STEM tracks. Equally, I'm a founder of CREED, an organization Center for Research, Education, Empowerment, and Development. And the aim, one of the objectives of the organization is to promote STEM education, precisely encouraging girls, female students to participate in the science and technology as well as engineering fields. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nida Christian Valerie. I'm a physics teacher in GBHS Nouvelle Douala. I'm a teacher's trainer on using digital technology in teaching, and I think this workshop we are the workshop is going to help me and to help us to promote STEM education and help me to share with my educative community and in order to make them advocates of STEM education.
Hello, I am Edith Amabo Bell, an English and literature teacher in GBHS Ekorezok. I'm here to learn about STEM education and see how, as a teacher, I can use STEM. I can promote STEM education to my learners and to empower myself as a teacher. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenfak Sonia. I'm a lecturer at the University of Yaoundé 1, especially the Department of Environment and Sustainable Development. I have a PhD in entomology and environment as well. And at the same time, I'm also a vice director of a, I would say, small NGO based here in Yaoundé, Green Connection. It's an environmental NGO, and most of our work are focused on the conservation of biodiversity. And we also collaborate and work with partners at the national and international level. I will also add that as Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World Fellow, I'm actually the financial secretary of the national chapter here in Cameroon. And we work with high school students and also university students to promote STEM education and also to empower them to be good scientists for those who are already at the university level. And for those who are in the high school, we try to understand or to help them to choose or to get oriented in the STEM area. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Charlotte Singom. I am a data analyst by profession and a research assistant in academics precisely. I am also a member of Facelings Foundation, and we are into education and training and research, especially in IT. Our foundation sensitizes the population about ICT-related domains, and STEM is like the cradle for ICT development. And precisely, we equally give priorities to girls. As such, we have founded Women in Data Science as an arm of the foundation. And I am here so that I can get equipped on how our foundation can better expand our activities to the population. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am God Juliet Machin. I'm an advocate for disability inclusion. I'm a businesswoman, and I'm also a secretary by profession. I'm here to learn skills that can help me enhance my professional skills. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Are Thomas Manget, a computer science and ICT teacher of UCC module. I'm also a project developer and a trainer of Girls in Technology Cameroon. So I think incorporating STEM in our project would be a good avenue for us to develop more projects and train more girls in our community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cyril from physics teacher. I'm just here to see how we can integrate visual aids and use the activity to ensure enough lasting curiosity in students as far as STEM is concerned. Thank you.
Greetings everyone.
polytechnic institute. Yeah, achieve the skills to be able to push the country forward for the immigrants.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Oscar DJ Tabigo, bilingual data teacher at GBH. I'm here to empower myself about STEM education to foster at a home level. So, advocate of
Would you all, would you all, would you all, would you all mind moving the microphones a little closer to your mouth so we could hear your names and your introduction, please?
So I am a bilingual teacher. This is the first time I heard about STEM education. And I hope my presence here today, I will learn more about it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tukov Johannes, a chemistry teacher from GBHS Ekorezok, and I'm also an environmental engineer specialized in the domain of water and sanitation. So it's my first time of attending a workshop of this magnitude concerning STEM, and I'm really delighted because it will go a long way for me to help me in transmitting knowledge to my students and also in the domain of environmental engineering. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Apum Rosetta, a physics teacher at GBHS Ekorezok. Coming here today, I was glad because I'll get to learn more about STEM education and better ways of encouraging my students to be able to pursue STEM education, especially my girls, who some of them still believe that sciences are meant only for guys and not for girls. So I hope to learn so that I can be able to encourage them to be able to pursue education in the sciences. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jai Hansen. I'm a certified Pearson and Excel teacher. I'm a certified Cambridge teacher. I'm a certified IB diploma teacher. I've been into STEM, it's 4 years now. We have been doing a lot as far as STEM is concerned, as far as instilling skills on the students is concerned. We have been doing a lot when it comes to social skills, communication skills, self-management skills, collaboration, and teamwork. This platform is going to go a long way to help me boost these skills I've been trying to develop in the learners. So I'm taking the chances to learn more to add to what I've got to do. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ngan Sylvester Yengo. I'm a trained physics teacher at the base with close to 20 years of classroom physics teaching. Past 3 years or so, regional pedagogy inspector of physics for the Northwest region. I'm also certified in STEM, thanks to the University of Bamenda, and rounding up a master's degree in educational psychology. And for the past 2 years, I've been trying to introduce the teachers of physics in the Northwest to the basics of STEM teaching. And I'm hoping that with platforms and initiatives like this one, we'll be able to get resources to introduce every other science teacher and math teacher in the Northwest and of course in the whole country to this concept of STEM. That's why I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am called Boni Vukeng Simpson Jerry. I am a mathematics teacher in Government Bilingual High School in Kozwa and English High School Yaoundé. So I hope by the end of the workshop, I'll be equipped with all the necessary tools to be able to encourage my learners to pursue education and career in STEM.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Juliet Fimpoma Godwa. I'm a research consultant in humanitarian response. Also, I am an Open Dream scholar, and I am also the CEO and founder of Youth Empowerment and Self-Sustainability. I have worked in STEM for several years. My main mission is to use STEM, reduce gender inequality in Cameroon. We have been working on ground in several secondary schools in Yaoundé, the Fundi division, and we have gone to meet young girls from, let me say, 10, 15 years, talk to them about STEM and the advantage and importance of STEM. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Tomo Klo. I am an Open Dream scholar. I am a volunteer at TIC Foundation, Tech Innovative Challenge, that helps secondary and high school students to leverage technology in solving societal problems. I am also the Center Regional Coordinator of K-System. This K-System is a knowledge center based in Boya that organizes exams for secondary and high school students to be creative and how to solve problems using sciences. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am called Sai Lisa. I'm from Boya. I'm a student in the University of Boya studying international relations. And it's actually my first time attending a STEM program. So I am here to see how I could use this STEM program for my degree program and as well for my future career. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous. Je suis étudiant à
Everyone, my name is Jack Benjomo. I am a tropical forestry engineer. And also, I am a science teacher in a technical high school where I used to teach the basics of physics and chemistry to students doing civil engineering and electrical engineering. I'm there to learn more about STEM education. Thank you.
Good day to you all. My name is Bechem Ayoko. I'm an award-winning EdTech consultant and AI prompt engineer. I'm so passionate about using technology to make quality education accessible to all. So for the past 12 months, I've worked extensively with over 70 teachers from all levels of education, helping them to successfully integrate technology into the teaching learning process. Because I think the quality of our education system cannot exceed the quality of teachers are teaching. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm also the national lead for Youth by Youth in Cameroon. To volunteer at Open Dreams. Thank you so much.
Good day, everyone. I'm called Kavimo. I'm a reproductive health nurse and I'm currently enrolled for public health as well doing a master's. I'm actually a lecturer of the nursing department in the University of Bamenda, and I'm also a founder of a CIG known as Natural Schools in Vitality for Health, where we focus more on infants, pregnant women, and elderly nutrition. When I got about STEM, I was really excited because I've always tried to see how we can include technology into our program to make education more head. So I think being part of the program today is really going to help me to advocate, to continuously impact my community, make them to learn more about STEM, and how we can expand education and health towards all. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Jack Provet Afo. I am a computer science teacher at Kanda Bilingual School Complex in Bok. I'm also a software engineer and the founder of She Dreams and co-founder of Cameroon Leaders Empowerment Initiative. I am a gender advocate and an advocate for peace and quality education and more women in technology. So for the past 3 years, I have been identifying, engaging, and I'm following up 150 girls who are taking up career paths in STEM, some of which have been at the university and some have been opportune to be selected for programs such as the Aspire Leaders program, the Marion Crook Challenge, and even the Girls Coding Camp. I am here today because I really want to learn more strategies on STEM advocacy and also network with other STEM advocates so that we can jointly collaborate and implement projects related to STEM and gender equality. Thank you.
Okay, Tiffany, I think that rounds it up for all of participants here on site in Yaoundé, Cameroon. We have some people online. I would like for those that are online to equally introduce themselves quickly before we move on. Hello, just those joining us online.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
Emmanuel, if you want, you can just have them type their name in the chat and you can go ahead and get started if that's easier. Emmanuel, if you want, Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, Tiffany, I can hear you.
If you want, you can just have them put their information in the chat and then we can go ahead and move forward.
All right. Those online, you can send your information in the chat. Tiffany and us team have dropped their email addresses in the chat. This is the session today. Can you still hear us, Tiffany?
So I'm gonna have Mary share his screen while you all kind of get adjusted so that we can just kind of give you an overview of what our plans are for our next few days. Emmanuel?
One moment, Tiffany, we're having some issues.
Emmanuel, I'm gonna have Perry go ahead and share his screen. And just so he can kind of give you an overview of where we're going for the next few days. And then as you all get finished setting up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Proceed.
Can you all see on screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Emmanuel, can you all hear me?
Yes, Tiffany, we can hear you.
Mine's on.
Can you hear,
Can you hear us, Emmanuel?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, Sorry, can you see on screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, Perry's gonna go ahead and give you an overview. Some of it will also include just a repeat introduction of the three of us, but what we're going to be covering over the next few days.
Right, good afternoon. So over the next few days, we're going to be covering a lot of information. You should still turn on the speaker. Sorry, 1 second. We'll be covering a lot of information. We'll be talking a lot about a lot of the things that you brought up during your introductions, from engaging girls in STEM to engaging and meeting the needs of all the learners. And we'll talk a little bit about STEM in America, as well as we'll give you some demonstrations of some different science experiments that we do here in our classroom and how we incorporate computer-aided design in our classroom as well. Right now, today, I'm going to give you just a basic introduction of STEM and what it looks like in America, in our American classrooms, and just our experience. While I'm going, I'm sure Kiana and Tiffany will be jumping in to give some additional information as we go. So just to start off, I just want to tell you how kind of STEM got started in America. So in the early 2000s, the United States started to realize that our scores in science, technology, engineering, math were very low, and students were not coming out of high school prepared to enter the STEM fields. Some stuff like programming, drafting, engineering. And in addition to that, we realized that the students were not ready for the career fields as well. So they were not, the people in those jobs were seeing a lack of skills with students. So we started this STEM initiative, the STEM, in order to encourage students to do more science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, along with this, and the STEM initiative, we wanted to make sure that teachers were incorporating science, technology, engineering, math together as one subject rather than as individual subjects. So for example, in the United States, what often happens is students will get an hour of science, an hour of technology, an hour of math, and they won't be integrated together, or they won't be taught as one subject altogether. When it comes to STEM, we want to make sure that students are able to see that science and math happen together, and that engineering and technology also happen together. And these things are all related, and they're all integrated within each other. So one of the initiatives within STEM is to show students connection and to know that if you love science and math as well, you're going to be incorporating technology.
We just want to make sure that we leave space for questions. We also have time at the end, so go ahead and let us know if you have any questions.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over each of the science, technology, engineering, math, just give you a brief example of what it would look like as a standalone and how we give a connection. So when it comes to science, one of the key things we're doing is trying to focus on the practices of science rather than the individual information. So for example, here on the screen, you're going to see some examples of the practices that you would see in science. For example, asking questions and defining problems, developing using models, planning and carrying out investigations, analyzing and interpreting data, using mathematics and computational thinking, constructing and designing solutions, explanations and solutions, engaging in argument from evidence, and obtaining an evaluation and communication of information. So we won't go over all of these skills in a given lesson. However, most of the things that we do in science are going to touch on one or multiple of these practices. Do you have any questions so far? We can't. All right, I'll go next slide. So an example that I can show you is we would give students 2 chemicals in 2 cups, and they look very similar. And their task in this is to figure out which chemical is which. And we do this through an experiment that tests endothermic and exothermic reactions, which means that some chemicals will get colder and some chemicals will get hotter when placed in water. So we'll have students place the chemicals in water and then measure the temperature of each chemical over a 30-second time period. So on the screen to the left, you'll see a table where we would do that. So on temperature 1, it was 23 degrees Celsius. And then by temperature 5, it rose up to 37. Then chemical B started at 23 and raised to 20 degrees Celsius. In order to help students see this reaction and see these patterns, we also have them graph the information, which you'll see to the right, an example of a student graphing the information, which help us see the pattern and see that the temperature significantly dropped on one of the chemicals and raised on the other chemical. So in this brief example, they did several of the practices I mentioned in the first slide about science. They planned and carried out an investigation. They analyzed and interpreted data. They used mathematics and computational thinking, and they were obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information in science. Likewise, they were using a lot of technology in their example as well. In the science example as well. Okay, so within technology, a big part of using technology in our classrooms is explaining to students what is technology and helping them understand that technology can be anything from a pencil to a camera. And really, technology is just any tool that we use to help us solve a problem or complete a task. I'll stop now to see if anyone has any questions so far.
Any questions? No questions so far.
Emmanuel, you said we're good so far?
Yes, we're good so far, Tiffany. No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So when we're talking about STEM and specifically using technology, we like to incorporate as many robotics and as much technology as possible, help students. One example on the left side of your screen is a robot that we use in our classroom called an Ozobot. An Ozobot is coded using color. For example, if you run the robot over a line and you place the color blue, green, red, then the robot will read that color and be programmed to turn left. Likewise, you can program it to turn right, go straight, turn around, those types of things. So what we do is we introduce students to the concept of coding through these color codes so that they get a very basic understanding that one piece of information has the robot do one thing, which will eventually help them get more towards block coding or script coding, such as Python or C++, which is what we use in a more professional setting. So in our classroom, we have students get this map that you see on your right. They have to start at one part of the map and end at another part of the map. Specifically, they start on the greenhouse, that's to the left next to the star, and they end at the apartments, which is on the bottom right. So they need to use that color code to turn specific directions. When doing this, students are practicing teamwork, they're understanding how code works, and they're getting a really basic introduction to how coding can look in the real world.
Any questions?
All right, now we're going to talk about engineering. With engineering, the first thing we do is we like to introduce the engineering design process. So on the screen, you'll see an example of what the engineering design process can look like. Basically, what they did is they got together a lot of engineers and they asked them, how do you solve a problem? Now, the engineers all presented different answers to this question. However, there were some similarities within them, and they took those similarities and created the engineering design process. So on the screen, you'll see we start with defining a problem. Then we move to the blue triangle. It says imagine and plan. We go to create, test, improve, and share. We will we'll give these students a problem and have them go through the engineering design process to solve this problem. One of the key points we like to touch on is to make sure students understand that the engineering design process is something that we do over and over again. So for example, if I'm trying to solve a problem and it fails, then I could go over the engineering design process again and again, as many times as I need to make my solution, to solve my problem, or to make my solution even better. So here's an example of what it could look like when we are doing the engineering design process specifically in the classroom. This challenge is called Tower of Power. So we'll start by giving the students this problem and have them work from there. I'll read you the paragraph so you get a good understanding of it. Disneyland is about to build a new Winnie the Pooh area for their theme park. And they have commissioned an artist to create a very expensive statue that will be displayed at the entrance to the park. They need you to create the platform for the statue. So in this challenge, students are creating a platform that the statue will sit on top of. After that, we explain to students different constraints that they're going to have in the classroom. This is important because in the real world, engineers have constraints as well, or things that limit them from doing their job. Some of these constraints that we put on them in the classroom are similar ones that engineers would have in the real world. So for example, you need to build a tower that is at least 30 centimeters tall. If an engineer was building a tower in real life, they would also have a minimum height they would need to reach or a minimum strength. You only get 30 minutes to build. Obviously, in the real world, engineers get a lot more time. However, time is still an issue with it. And then we go over their materials. They get 100 index cards and 30 centimeters of tape. Now, these materials can change based on what is available to you in the classroom. However, for this lesson, we have 100 index cards and 30 centimeters of tape. Here's an example of what a platform has looked like in the past. It's pretty amazing to see the different platforms and the creativity the students can have when designing their own platforms and using the engineering design process. Sure. I'm going to stop now to see if anyone has any questions.
Can you hear me, Perry? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I have a question. How would you say, or how important is the engineering design process in actually having students who nothing about STEM education or students who are not scientific or who do not have a scientific mindset, how we say EDP is important based on your experience with the different STEM curriculums, how important is EDP promotion of STEM education and really getting kids into STEM.
Emmanuel, can you put the mic a little closer to your mouth? You're cutting out.
So, okay, so can you hear me better now?
Yes.
So I was saying, how exactly would you say, or how important is the engineering design process to really initiate kids who have no background in science, or kids who initially had no interests in sciences? How will you say EDP fits in that process of having kids acquainted with STEM? Did you get my question, Tiffany?
A little bit. You're cut out a little bit, but let me see if I understand what you're asking. You want to know how do we teach the engineering design process to students who maybe don't have a science background, but also how do we help them understand how important it is?
Yes, not how to teach per se, but how exactly is it important? Could we do STEM without EDP? Where does it really fit in? Because the reality is a lot of STEM initiatives here in Cameroon do not know anything about EDP. They do not involve it in the process they have in place to delivering STEM to students. So this is something that a lot of us are hearing for the first time now. So I'd like to know how important is it in introducing kids to STEM education.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really far away. Hi, sorry, I'll just get back so you can see me. So the way you can include this with your students is you can have them understand that any problem that they have in the real world can use the engineering design process. So you can engage them with this by even giving them a very simple problem that they have to solve, whether it is, maybe they can't wake up on time, or they would like to make a new recipe, or they need to create, something at home. You can give them very simple examples and give them each of these steps on the engineering design process so that they're able to see them on a very simple real world example, and instead of giving them it in the engineering world or in a very science background, you can show them this engineering design process within an everyday problem that they may have, if that makes sense.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know if any of the participants has a question to follow up with that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, adding flesh to what I asked.
Yes, I just want to add that the engineering design process is in engineering just like the scientific process is in science. It is science because you are following the scientific process. So it is engineering because you are following the engineering design process. And so in the STEM approach to teaching, when children are constrained to follow the engineering design process, they actually go through the stages that allow them to acquire the skills that they need. Otherwise, you can give them a project to run and they run in the day and bring the artifact that you want them to produce. But the engineering design process constrains them to take all the time that's required. A project, an artifact can be produced in a day. But when you follow the design process in the STEM approach, it could be a month, could even be more time during which all other aspects and all other pillars of STEM come in for the student to acquire the skills they need. Because the focus is not the artifact, but the process of getting it and the skills they get, why they get it.
Another intervention.
Thank you. I just wish to share that when you look at the engineering design process, you actually find that with the process, as he rightly put, it is the same as the science process. And when we talk of engineering, like I always say, engineering in STEM is not taken out from the science process. They are the same, but one thing that we must note here is that when we look at the engineering process, it is about developing an actual model of something. The same as if you assign students a project, be it in the sciences, to design something, and once they design it, and they come out with some projects, it takes them just a day. But engineering, with the engineering process, you are trying to introduce to those students the knowledge that they will actually use in their engineering fields. And that's where, when we are teaching the sciences, precisely, we take physics as our core here, we discover that with physics, there is technology there. The curriculum today in Cameroon requires that we call it physics and technology. Because when you are teaching the students, you expect the students to equally develop models of what we are teaching them, which means that you are applying, because technology is the application of the science there, for them to develop those projects. And then when you are talking of engineering, they are projecting the problem that they are to work out with it, and then eventually they develop a plan to reach at the final product, which, based on the engineering process that is being shared in the presentation, you actually find that all those steps, depending on the product that you are designing, you can even design it in a day, but the constraints are always there, depending on how well you apply creativity and thinking. I wish to add that, although we are talking about STEM, we have moved beyond STEM. Well, with STEAM, because STEAM, you add an A there, which is all about what? Arts. So all this work, the children must be, the kids or the students must be creative, and then they should be artistic. So that's one thing that I keep on insisting whenever I'm working with students. I say, no, you have to be creative. Conceptualize it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Another intervention, Tiffany?
It's merely a question. So I wanted to find out the engineering design process. Is it meant for students studying engineering already, that is a level of university, whether they are specialized, or even a grade 6, I don't know, grade 5 or grade 12 students at the secondary level can, or a teacher can actually apply it in either designing his lessons or in an evaluation, in the May evaluation?
I would say that it's a little bit, it's both. There's clearly the connection to what happens in STEM, but I believe the engineering design process can be used in life, and whether you're an educator or you're a student. And so there's not just the component that you can only do this when you're focusing on STEM, but as students are just trying to navigate life, or even adults, if as teachers, and you're looking at curriculum planning, or if you're looking at lesson development, or even if you're looking at how you navigate and work with other groups, the engineering design process can be a tool for life, not just focus on STEM.
Great, thank you, Tiffany. I think that answers the question. Okay, another question, another intervention.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that the ED process is not just for STEM. I am intervening with a question just asked a while ago, that is it for engineers or engineering students, and how can we include it maybe at the level of the primary school? You know, every problem has a design pattern to get to the solution. And now, considering the fact that we are working towards the achievement of the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals, it means that we have to design a pattern for every problem that we find in our societies, so that we can get a better solution for. To every problem, you must imagine, you must think, you must plan. and you must think how to create a solution for that problem. Now, when you think of that solution, you have to test it. Okay, now if this solution, this is what I want to bring for this problem, will it work? Will it work? And if it doesn't work, or if you see that it works, but there are some things there are some parts that still need intervention, then you have to improve on your solution. And when you improve on your solution, what do you do? You have to keep on sharing, because every day there must be some problems that you will still identify in the solution that you thought was the best solution to a particular problem. So it is not only for engineering students, it is not only for mathematicians, it's not only for physicists, it is for every department of life. Even the arts, even the literature students, they need to know that as they grow up, or as they are in the arts department, or as they are doing journalism or whatever, they need to find a problem in their environment. Now, if they find a problem, they have to design a solution. Designing that solution is just basically saying that I can still use the ED process to accomplish my mission, or to find a better solution for the problem. Thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, I just wish to like find out, how do you segment STEM when you're in the classroom? Like, this is science, this is engineering, this is technology, and for mathematics it would do, but science and engineering together with technology, because like physics, as we teach it here, is more like the engineering and technology together. So how do you segment it out there in the US? How do you teach it in the class? That's my question.
So that's a great question. There's a couple of things we want to make sure we clarify. So STARBASE, our program, only focuses on STEM. So we have a specific program funded through the Department of Defense to fully focus on science, technology, engineering, and math. Perry and Kiana are both licensed teachers who came from a school district, and in their daily curriculum, they have portions of STEM that they can talk about. But for us, our opportunity, we don't have to teach anything else but STEM through the STARBASE program. I'll let Perry and Kiana talk about how they did it when they were in their classrooms, how they incorporated portions of STEM in their lessons.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, it is very much segmented in the classroom, where students get math at one time, engineering at another time. However, like a lot of you have mentioned, they don't exist on their own. We can use the engineering design process in science. We can use it in math. We can use math and engineering, and they're all connected. So really, it was the importance of taking the time and making sure that you tell this to students, that yes, we are doing engineering right now. However, I also want you to notice that we're doing science and we're doing math, and having these conversations and having the students make connections to the different STEM aspects helped with integrating them and creating a whole STEM classroom rather than just an
Thank you, Perry.
I would also just follow up with saying that as educators, it is important for us to be intentional and purposely find ways to build our lessons integrated with STEM outside of like our language courses. And then, as Perry mentioned, making sure to let your students know when you are doing these different parts of the STEM curriculum, because you cannot do engineering in its true form without doing some sort of math. And that goes the same way with science and looking at this engineering design process and showing your students step by step how this relates back through everything that we are doing.
Thank you, Kiana. Any other question? Do you have any other question? Okay, one more question.
My question is a very simple question. I just wish to know, to ask, at what age do they start teaching children in America about STEM? At what age?
It actually varies. The kids that we serve are in the 5th grade, so they're 9, 10, 11. There are some private schools that have small pieces of STEM in 1st grade and 2nd grade. But I believe at any time that we do anything that requires critical thinking, using numbers, putting together colors, shapes, I think STEM is happening. And to both Perry and Kiana's point, a lot of students do not know that they are doing STEM pieces because the teacher does not tell them.
So for example, a 3-year-old who is building with blocks or who is making a house with sticks or anything that is hands-on that is building is STEM. And so children as young as 2 are doing STEM projects. They just do not know that they are doing it. So here in America, we really start at kindergarten when they do tell you that you're doing science, but really they've been doing these STEM activities since they were able to walk and use their fingers and hands.
And kindergarten for us is age 5.
Sorry, 5 years old.
Thank you, Kiana. So yes, we see that STEM will start even at the age of 0. Yes, and yes, one thing I'd like to add before we proceed is based on the kind of questions we've been getting, what Tiffany does with our team is they have this distinct STEM curriculum at STARBASE. Now, some of us here in the country, we have STEM programs too, like the bootcamp that we're running, STEM bootcamp. Then a lot of you are school teachers that are teaching physics, chemistry, maths, and all that, and would love for your students to understand what they are doing better, and that will happen with STEM. Now, some of you have been doing STEM already. I mean, you've already been doing it as the individual components without even knowing that that's what you've been doing. But some of you have been delivering the classic legacy curriculums that we've had without the students really fully grasping what they are doing. So one of the goals of this workshop is for you to be able to introduce hands-on STEM in the teaching that you are currently doing. If you're teaching physics, if you're teaching chemistry, if you're teaching biology, how do you have students connect the dots of S, T, E, and M from what you are having there during your biology class, and the other things, just for students to understand. One of the reasons why a lot of students will divert from sciences and go to arts is because it was too hard for them to digest. The curriculum is really too hard for them to digest. They think they are, I would say, dull, but they are not. It's just the approach in learning that is really not appropriate. And when you bring in that hands-on that comes with STEM in what you're teaching day to day, you find a lot more students that understand the maths, they understand the physics better, they understand the chemistry better, because you've connected the dots, you've not isolated it, you've not just shown the balancing of equations without any purpose, or finding X without any purpose, or calculating the mass without any purpose. During our bootcamp, we have these experiments, these EDP experiments. We have like a moonlander experiment. That moonlander experiment is all about velocity, mass, and other elements of physics, which usually just exist as isolation. But then when we take students and have them, okay, make an experiment around this theory in physics, there is the thing we know as STEM. They are now taking the concept in physics, they are taking their concepts in math, they are taking their creativity in the mix, and then they are doing something with it. So that is really the goal for people who are just running their classrooms, to be able to understand what STEM is and how you can translate it to what you are already doing. Thank you. Any other questions?
Emmanuel, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
The question says, what are opportunities and challenges facing women and underrepresented groups in STEM fields? And how can we promote diversity and inclusion to ensure that all individuals have the opportunity to succeed and contribute to STEM innovation? For us here in America, I'll talk one about the STARBASE program, and then I'll talk about everything else. So STARBASE for us is designed specifically for students in what we call low-income schools. And so these are families and communities that make less money than the average students in our school district. Those schools have higher numbers of students that are Black, Hispanic, Native American, some of those underrepresented groups. Those schools also have students who are second language learners. And so that part of STARBASE gives us direct connection to those groups. That's an opportunity. The challenge is that there aren't many people in STEM that look like those students. So we really work hard to look at books and materials, look at our teachers, that the students can see themselves in the people teaching STEM. And when we talk about women, there are diverse representations in STEM. They're small numbers, but they're not talked about enough. So the more that you can show students a reflection of who they are, then the more they're going to be connected. When we use these phrases in the United States that say representation matters, basically saying that when students see images of themselves in a space, then they'll engage. Those are opportunities, those are also challenges. The other conversation, and I believe one of your participants spoke to this about working with women and girls, is that oftentimes girls are told that science or math or engineering is for boys. And so we have to help teachers open their minds to thinking that all kids, whether it's a boy, a girl, whatever their identity or their culture or their ethnicity is, all kids can do STEM. So it's a combination of things that kind of help move the needle around STEM innovation. So I hope that answered your question, Mr. Graf. Did you want to add anything to that? Yeah.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I want to just re-emphasize is showing students how they can be successful in, for example, engineering or science. When we use the engineering design process or a scientific process, we're showing students the specific skills that engineers do, and that helps them realize that they can do engineering. So for example, a lot of young women will be really good at problem solving. When we take that problem solving skill and add it to engineering, they can see that they are very capable of being engineers.
Thank you, Perry. And to add on that, one of the other ways that we strive for inclusion with, for example, our own STEM bootcamp is, like Tiffany already mentioned, is to have mentors that these kids can relate to. That is why, not to say that
is older people cannot be mentors, but when the kids they see people that are not much older than them, that's why we use our students. Like Fopa here is one of our mentors during our program. He's a third, fourth year student. So yes, so when students from high school and secondary school see him as a mentor, he's already doing things that they feel they relate more to him. They know that okay, if he could do it, I could do that. On the other hand, when they say much older people, they feel like there's so much gap before I can get there. This person must have studied for years and years. He has a PhD and all that. That's why he's able to do all these things. But when SOPA is teaching them cybersecurity techniques and cyberspace safety measures and all that, they say, well, he's not much older than me. If not, what, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. So if him, why not me? So that having someone they can relate to is very important. We have Fopa, we have Xavier, who is a girl, a very young girl too. So when the young girls, and this is very important for the ladies, when the young girls see Xavier as a mentor, they're like, this is a girl, a tiny girl looking just like me, who is doing this amazing thing, who has won awards, travel around the world because she's doing robotics and all that. I can definitely do it. They feel inspired, and then it's just a chain reaction. The mentors help the mentees, and then the people in their community see them doing it, and then from there it just spreads, and everybody is getting into it. Just add that. Okay, one intervention.
With respect to what Mr. Graf asked on inclusion, I like the fact that we are focusing on inclusion maybe based on sex or gender. I'll equally add that we equally run a program, and then the University of Boya is actually having the Faculty of Education, and then they have a program on inclusive education. And what we have been trying to do there is that we try to even use persons with disabilities who are actually excelling in different domains to talk with the students, younger people, and when they interact, you actually find that that is already bridging the big gap, because we have people from different walks of life that are involved. So we search them to come and then make contact and then talk with, and then it actually removes the whole idea of disability is, you don't need to tell them that disability is inability again, because they actually experience these people working with them and then doing the great things that do. Thank you.
If there's no other question, I think we can move on, Tiffany.
Let me pull up the slide that we were just on. Talk about engineering. I'm now going to jump into maths. Okay, so in our program, we really try to integrate math or make connections with math to all of our subjects. Math and science are always going to be together. And then when we're doing science, we're also doing math. And these things go hand in hand. So an example that we use is robots. And we use robots to teach students different angles. Because robots don't have eyes, they cannot see, or at least the ones that we use do not. So we introduce students the concept of angles, and we give them a protractor so they can measure the different angles they need the robot to go. So for example, on the left, you may see that the robot is turning in 90-degree angles. Turning left at 90 degrees, and then turning right at 90 degrees. This is a really good use of technology and integrating it with math, so students see the connection that we need math in order to use this technology or to do this engineering process that I'm being presented. Okay. Now we just wanted to talk about some challenges we in the United States face in STEM. Number one, when we're talking about the everyday classroom that students see, it's time. A lot of teachers do not have the time to teach any of the STEM disciplines on their own. Science is very limited in a lot of our schools, along with technology, engineering, and math, which is why we have to incorporate it or put it together with other subjects to make sure that we're able to address all of STEM. Number two is money. We are fortunate here at STARBASE to have things like robots, some of the robots that you saw, and the chemicals and different things like that. Not all of our schools can afford those, which is why we're trying to expose students to as much as possible in that aspect. Resources is along the same line. A lot of teachers do not have the resources, the money, the robots to do what they would like to do or to teach these concepts. Finally, we have students giving up when things get difficult. One of our main focuses here at STARBASE and in a lot of elementary schools is to teach students perseverance, or the idea that when something gets hard or you can't do something, to keep trying and keep working on a problem until you've solved it. So a lot of times STEM disciplines will take longer because we're trying to teach students how to believe in themselves and to keep trying. And finally, the lack of people seeing the importance of STEM. We need to do a really good job here in the United States of telling people why STEM is so important, how it changes students' lives, how it helps them complete, or how it will help them get jobs and live a really successful life.
I also would like to add in that I don't know if you have the same problem, but teachers here in America also don't feel as comfortable teaching these STEM subjects. So we give them, some schools will give them the resources to teach science and technology and engineering, but some of these teachers do not feel like they are successful in these subjects as well. And so here are one of our challenges is that the teachers just do not feel comfortable teaching these subjects. And I think that is a huge challenge for us here in America with just the lack of confidence that some of our educators here have around teaching these ideas to their students. And we will leave this open if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Kiana. I think it's a good time for us to maybe bring up challenges that we face as in organizations that we are in really STEM.
I would like to say, as a science teacher, I have come to notice that in STEM education, there is this temperature prop that is very important. It's slightly replacing our normal thermometers that we are using. It's a very essential tool when it comes to involving technology as far as temperature takings are concerned. It has, we use softwares too to be able to develop some graphs from using the temperature props. Now, here in Cameroon, it's difficult for our schools to get these temperature props, meaning it comes with money, and our schools have been reluctant to getting them, though we are offering programs that require us to have these temperature props. So I'm just coming to tell you the challenges I've been facing as an IB teacher. That's part of the challenges we are facing, resources.
Thank you so much. I want to come back to the challenges we face and will face in introducing the STEM approach in our society, in our communities. Because it is about the schools and about the students and about the teachers. And what is happening is that teachers don't have the motivation because it requires an extra effort to deliver a STEM approach to your students. Our teachers don't have the motivation. But above that, we are in a system, be it the government school system, the private school system, the mission school system. The systems have their focus, they have their orientation. It is examination oriented, it is subject focused. And so there is this challenge of, going out of the way to introduce a new approach. Of course, what we need here is advocacy, like we're doing already. Because I subscribe to scholars who hold the view that you don't need so much change in the curriculum to introduce the STEM approach. From my understanding, you might just need to cut down on content. But in our curriculum, in various systems, there is so much unnecessary content. Since the system is examination oriented, we focus so much on content, but if we cut down on content, we can now introduce approaches like STEM and be able to get the student get the skills that they need. But again, the big challenge that we have, it looks like in America, it is already government policy to embrace STEM. In Cameroon, it's not policy yet. And so at our own level, we are trying to introduce teachers to this approach and get them take personal initiatives with their own students at their own level until we get to a point where we can have government embrace that as policy. Thank you.
So much, Mr. Nga.
Je vais parler en français, mon anglais approximatif. En tant que présidente d'une association qui milite pour, en faveur de l'adhésion de plusieurs filles dans les STEM, nous rencontrons plusieurs défis. Il y a d'abord la question de la culture. Bon, c'est vrai que le précédent intervenant a déjà évoqué, n'est-ce pas, le problème des contenus, n'est-ce pas, à l'école, il y a des contenus tellement inutiles, mais il y a déjà qu'en amont, la compréhension même de la nécessité, n'est-ce pas, d'adhérer à la science, aux sciences, technologies, engineering et mathematics. Donc, les enfants qui embrassent les parcours scientifiques, n'est-ce pas, c'est beaucoup plus pour n'est-ce pas, parce que peut-être qu'ils ont été un peu plus brillants, ils ne comprennent même pas ce qu'ils font et là où ils vont avec. Et en nous approchant, en nous entretenant avec les élèves du secondaire surtout, on s'est rendu compte que les parents ont une très grande, ont un très grand impact dans le choix des enfants. Les enfants disent qu'ils ne veulent pas de parcours scientifique parce qu'ils se disent que c'est très long. Ils font l'école pour avoir le travail rapidement et gagner leur vie rapidement. Quand ils vont dans les parcours scientifiques, on va se rendre compte que même ceux qui embrassent des parcours scientifiques comme la médecine, c'est pour être médecin et prescrire des médicaments. Ceux qui font physique ne comprennent pas grand-chose, c'est juste parce qu'ils ont des très bonnes notes. Qui font physique, quand on leur demande même la physique, c'est pourquoi ils ne comprennent pas. Donc, il y a un problème culturel de fond, surtout chez les francophones. Un problème culturel de fond. Les parents sont... Quand nous sommes rendus compte en parlant avec les enfants que les parents influencent beaucoup le choix des enfants, nous nous sommes rapprochés des parents pour discuter aussi. On a organisé des rencontres où on discutait avec des parents. Les parents ont dit non, dans le contexte actuel au Cameroun, c'est que l'enfant va rapidement à l'école, sort et trouve rapidement un emploi pour gagner de l'argent. Donc, ils ne sont pas dans l'approche du développement, approche de on peut aller, même comme malgré que nous nous entourons des personnes, des role models, des personnes qui ont réussi, ça ne prend pas. Il y a un réel problème culturel. Il y a un réel problème culturel. Je ne dis pas le problème des francophones parce que c'est là où je maîtrise le mieux. Et on se rend compte que, comme nous on travaille beaucoup plus avec les femmes, de moins en moins les femmes, n'est-ce pas, s'engagent dans les parcours scientifiques. De moins en moins parce qu'ils se disent que qu'est-ce que tu vas faire avec? Il faut faire vite l'école, arrêter rapidement, trouver un travail, te marier et faire des enfants. Et faire des enfants, c'est ce qu'on attend. Il y a encore un problème culturel de fond qu'il faut travailler. Ce que j'attends vraiment, c'est qu'on me donne davantage d'outils des manières pour approcher, pour travailler sur cette mentalité-là.
Okay. Just to translate what she said quickly in English, she basically says that in her own association, and from my experience, what she has noticed is that there's this cultural issue. There's this cultural issue that really stops a lot of people from getting into STEM. And this cultural issue usually stems from the parents themselves influencing the choices of their kids. They do not want their kids to, especially when we're talking about girls, they do not want the girls to have long education, long careers. They just want them to go through the hoops in life, maybe even skipping through some steps and quickly getting married. And even for those that want their kids to get into sciences, the culture is usually like, just go to school, be a doctor, go to school and get a concours, get into one of these public schools and just get a job. It doesn't really matter if you understand what you're doing, as long as you go through those hoops. And a lot of times, people devise methods for their kids to even skip certain necessary steps to just get a degree at the end of the day, not really knowing what they're doing, but just having a career in a field that they usually have no passion in, no particular interest in, aside from the fact that it's making them money. That's a summary.
Okay.
Another intervention.
Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, Stephanie, I can hear you.
So I want to address two things. I think the person that spoke before, the woman that just spoke about the resources, and we recognize that what we're working with and using here in America clearly is very different than what you all have. Emmanuel did have a chance to come to STARBASE and see some of the things that we have here. So our hope over the next few days is to make this as relatable as possible to you all, because we know the resources are different. And so at any time, if we're talking about some things that seem so far out of your reach, please let us know, but also how we can make it as relatable to what you're doing is what we want to focus on. To the woman that just spoke about the cultural issues, I would say that that's not just something that's happening on the continent of Africa and the various countries across Africa. It's a cultural issue here in the United States as well. And there's something that is starting to happen where people are pushing for more girls, more people from different ethnicities, more people that speak different languages to get interested in STEM, which is why, as I think Perry talked about it a little bit and Kiana as well, they're trying to get kids younger and younger and younger involved in the work. So there is a cultural thinking that is starting to change, but it still has a long way to go. And then to the question in the chat about the dyscalculic students, and if I understand that correctly, students that maybe are struggling with how to engage in math and mathematical equations and learning. We have students that come to us with a lot of different levels of ability. We have had a student come to us who was blind, and again, back to resources, we were able to work with the schools to get their curriculum in Braille. But on a practical side, Perry and Kiana literally took glue and glued charts and glued things so that the student could feel and engage. Our teachers have some other resources where some of our students that have some learning challenges have an aid that can support them. So we are not a school, we are a STEM academy, but Perry and Kiana have had students in their classroom before coming to STARBASE that have had a lot of different learning challenges that they have been able to support. So I just wanted to make sure we covered the last kind of three things that came up. So Perry, Kiana, do you want to add anything to that?
I just want to say, you mentioned if we segregate students on disability, we do not. It's about having this supports in place to help them meet what the rest of the class is doing. And Tiffany brought up an example with the glue. Another example, maybe if we're doing writing in science, we might give them the start of a sentence. So for example, if I'm asking you, what's the best chemical to use? I might start the writing off with, the chemical I should use is, we call that a sentence stem. That's another scaffold that you might see to help students who are having challenges and help them do what everyone else in the class is doing and do it together.
Yes. I just wanted to talk about the challenges in embracing the STEM system in Cameroon. As others were saying already, one of the major challenges is the system and the curriculum. It is designed in such a way that students are teaching them how to pass exams and not how to use the knowledge they have acquired in school to solve problems. I can remember, as I said, I'm a volunteer in TIC Foundation, and most of the time when we visit schools to like encourage students to be creative and problem solving, identify problems in their society, at times we feel discouraged because most of the times the school authorities don't allow us to get to these students. They ask us a question that how would those projects, how would those things help the students to pass their exams? So it means that even the school authorities that are more focused on guiding the students how to pass exams without helping them to actually identify problems in their society and solve them. Also talking about my high school experience, I can remember when our class teacher, our physics teacher, came up with a project that we could use plastic bottles to make pavements. The school was totally against that. It was like, it is out of the curriculum. How would that help the students to pass the exams? And we finally did that project with no support of the authority. But in return, the same project was used for an exhibition to represent the school. But I think that the teachers also feel discouraged because of the authorities, and engaging in the STEM system, we need to first of all start from the authority. They should actually see the need for the schools to be engaged in the STEM. Thank you.
Okay, I really want to talk about the challenges here in Cameroon. Yes, we're talking about the curriculum. I, for one, the first time I heard about science was when I was in the secondary school. That's why I was asking at what age they talk about STEM in America. I really like that if we can start also from a very tender age to talk about STEM in Cameroon, I think it would be more easier for students to adopt this notion from a tender age. It will be more easier for them to embrace it. Secondly, we're talking about orientation. As I visit schools, I notice that the problem is not only at the level of the classrooms. We talk about guidance, we talk about mentors, we talk about parents. Most of these parents, they have great influence on their children. Because, for example, in our society, we see that the parents are the ones telling the children what to do in future. For example, they will say, be a doctor, be this, because, you know, it will give you money. So I would just say we really need to educate more the parents too, the guidance, those, you know, having, and the teachers too, yeah, those having influence on these children. Thank you.
I did want to ask, do you have any events or opportunities for parents in the schools to be able to participate in any of your STEM activities or learning experiences that you have? to try and see if you can, get them excited about their students learning STEM?
Can I get the question again, please?
Sorry. So my question for all of you or anyone that is able to answer is, do you have any opportunities or create events for your students, their parents, to come in and see any of the STEM activities that you do within your students? Like, are parents able to come into your classrooms and see their students doing these STEM activities so that they are able to get excited or understand the importance of STEM with their children?
Thank you very much for that question. I would say that the STEM approach is still very strange a concept in our school system. Parents don't know about it. There are some teachers, even science teachers in many parts of Cameroon who don't know anything about STEM. That's why we are taking the lead to introduce this concept. But at the level of the school, if teachers were to understand what it is and to have the basics on how to implement the basic or the main pillars of the STEM approach, in many schools, there are what we call open door. Open door. That means one day within the year that parents come together, the whole community comes together to see what students are producing. So if we implement the STEM approach, that will be an avenue. That happens mostly in the technical schools. But my ambition is that when we get our teachers activated in the STEM approach, we can now introduce this open door to general education schools. Yes, so if we get teachers activated on the STEM approach, it can now be possible to introduce a similar day for all general education schools. Because one of the main pillars of the STEM approach is project-based instruction. And project-based instruction ends with artifacts that can be exposed and parents can see and be excited about it.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to just add on what you just said. I think we have what we call Parents Teachers Association in Cameroon. I think if we can use that platform to introduce, because that's the only way, there's most of the time parent teachers, they have meetings. I think that if we can use that platform, we can really exploit it and promote STEM. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
What the parents need to see and be excited about the STEM approach is the artifact, what the children are producing. So the people to whom the advocacy should go is the teachers and the school community. The parents are just waiting to see that my children come back home and they are telling me they have produced maybe a biodigester and it can produce biogas. That's what the parents want to see. Like you said earlier, even the children at the present age don't need to know about STEM. They need to be brought up by mentors and teachers who are implementing the STEM approach to education. They just find themselves swimming in the STEM, and eventually at secondary and high school, you cannot be able to separate them from the STEM.
So with respect to Cameroon, you actually find that gradually change from basic education, elementary school, because if you look at the program, what they call the new pedagogical approach. In the primary school, which in the secondary school they transform to the competency-based approach. You find that even in the government school, in the secondary schools, government secondary schools, not the technical colleges, there is equally not a day that they call an orientation open door day that the children are expected to expose to producing. And I want to say that presently, the school system, the activities that children actually love at first, it's just dancing, doing all those things, and drifting into the science, the STEM, which I would say with the advocacy, and then we make the interest, because the interest of the learners, the teachers, and the parents is actually helping. Now, I think we are now making schooling. I would say we are now making schooling our own. At first, we used to just be preparing people to work and work well. Domains that are not actually existing. Yeah. Like, she raised a question here that is that when you study physics, study physics, theories that were not practical reality. And I tell you that today, I will share this experience that with the students when you give them this project, go home. When you give them a period of a month, they bring back
Emmanuel, you may need to recap some of that because we cannot hear.
second boards.
Are we-
Second board that she actually demonstrated for us to use an automatic system, traffic light system. And all the students
Emmanuel?
a project to be the best project from the secondary school.
Can you all hear us?
It is left for the teachers. I was sharing with my colleague here.
Can you hear us?
Hi, Emmanuel, are you able to hear us? We are unable to hear what they're saying.
Today. Because without them engaging into STEM, language plays a lot. At one moment, I was advocating that for us to make STEM successful, we should translate books into it. So when I approach the team, see, they're in charge of translating the Bible into different African languages and I'm sorry that I'm saying this. I said, I think for the consumers will be able to use.
Hello, can you all hear us? Hello? Try it. Hear us?
Hello, I think the mic that was being used was not, we could not hear. Can you hear
all
us?
Hello, are you able to hear us?
Hear us?
Are you able to hear us? Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Can you all hear us? You don't.
Hear us?
I am unmuted.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can you give us a little bit of recap of the gentleman? There's something was going on with the microphone. Also, the person in the chat couldn't hear, but maybe give us a little bit of a recap of what the gentleman was saying.
I'll just give you the mic so you can briefly recap what I was saying.
I was saying that we have our school system has gradually shifted from maybe the theory base into actually the practical base approach. Right from the primary school, the children are able to be introduced into the field of STEM, and then at the level of the secondary school, they are introduced, and then there is equally a day now that is kept aside for parents, community members, and then for them to come into the school, both in the technical schools and the general education system, to see what the children are doing. As such, children that have actually developed that interest in the domain, in the STEM domain themselves. And then you actually find that even the teachers, the parents, they are equally improving on their delivery approach as they seek to help the learners. And then I equally said the language teachers that are actually involved a lot in the STEM, in the STEM field today, because when you find them actively involved, you equally find learners developing more interest because they make use of the language. And then since STEM or the sciences is taught in a language that is not indigenous to the language that they are using here, and eventually we are advocating for the translation of science and technology books into African languages, that will have more children using it rather than it just being taught in French and English. Thank you.
We have just about 10 minutes. So I think we'll keep other questions for tomorrow while this round up with for today.
Hi, Emmanuel. We're having a hard time hearing you over on our end.
So I was just letting the participants know that we have just about 10 minutes for today's program. So they could keep the questions they have for tomorrow while you guys just round up with what we have for today.
So we just want to give you an overview of what we're doing tomorrow. Hope you like our sweatshirts. These are sweatshirts for our program, STARBASE. I want to just give you an overview of what we're going to cover tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. Perry's going to just talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do, tell you about some of the demonstrations we're going to show you, and then what we're going to look like for the rest of the day. So I'll turn it over to Perry. And what?
We're gonna start the day with 2 different recordings. So Kiana has a demonstration of buoyancy, how we teach buoyancy in the classroom. And then I'll be talking about a science experiment called Pop Goes the Fizz, and how we do that in the classroom. We're also gonna be talking about how to get hands-on engagement, or how to get students involved in the classroom with their hands-on experiments, and how to make instruction accessible to all students.
Thank you,
So
Perry.
do you have other questions, Emmanuel?
No, just adding that on our end, we will be able to on how we've been implementing of how we've been implementing.
We can barely hear you. We can barely hear you.
So I was saying on our end, we'll equally be doing a demo on how we're implementing certain experiments that are more, like I say, steered towards the African landscape and reality here.
Yes.
Okay. So just adding that on the slots you have there, on the program you have there.
I can't hear you. We have it on the program for you all to show us a demonstration. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? The guy in the front. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Nope. Find it. Thumbs up if you can hear us. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. Okay, all right. No, he said no, but somebody in the back said. Oh, but somebody in the back said yes. We can't hear you. No. But you can hear us. Okay, if you can hear us, everybody in the room, give us a thumbs up. Okay, you can hear us. All right. So you all will also be showing us a demonstration tomorrow. Thumbs up. All right. So tomorrow, you all, this is technology at its best.
Yes.
So tomorrow, did you all hear everything that Perry covered that we're gonna have for tomorrow? Thumbs up. Yes. All right. So our plan tomorrow is to have more engagement. We wanted to just give you overview for today. Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Can hear you. So our plan for today was to give this overview. And then tomorrow we're going to jump in with some hands-on things and videos, recordings. And so look forward to the next 3 days of great work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany. I think we are all very excited for the following days of the workshop. And thank you so much again for waking up at 6 a.m. for us. Okay. So
early in the morning.
Yeah. So sorry about that.
That's okay. We're glad we were able to do it. So it's an exciting opportunity for us as well. So we're looking to learn just as much as we're trying to teach.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So we will be running up here and then see you guys tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow.